Welcome back, large language model automators, Python experts, and my dear friends. Text splitting and embedding demystified. Document embedding made effortless using open source embedders. If you are new to this series of LangChain library as well as large language models, I will suggest that to take a look at my playlist, learn about AI language models and reinforcement learning in this playlist here in my YouTube channel. Take a look at that. You will come up to speed in no time. First and foremost, the question arises, why use a text splitter? And if you are new to LangChain, large language models, you must be not aware of this. All the large language models have a specified number of tokens it can read as a context. Okay, so GPT 3 and 3.5 had maximum of 4096 tokens, and GPT 4 goes up to 32,000 tokens. Okay, but there is a limit. And GPT 5 or whatever it is going to come, the token size is actually going to increase. I'm just talking about the tokens. Okay, the tokens could be created from multiple things. So that's what I'm going to see. That's what we are going to see in this. The documents in real world, in business, or the documents that we use daily, that we create for our purposes, like our notes, etc., will have many things. Like it will have data, it will have text, it will have plain pictures. So all these things can be tokenized. Okay, and then tokenized is actually dividing the data into logical parts. Okay, this is actually a challenging aspect that I will be discussing in the next slide. So just hold to it. We are going to divide the data, the text or picture or whatever it is, and then once you divide it, then you are going to vectorize it. Okay, the idea of dividing and vectorizing I will be showing in the next picture. You will be actually surprised. Okay, is that simple? And then I will show how complex it is. And after we actually do tokenizing and vectorizing, we give the numbers. So vectors are basically numbers, and we give these numbers to the large language models, and we get the output text. So this is how all the large language models work. Around this, there are hundreds of different ways and functions, classes right now in LangChain library, as well as in various other libraries like OpenAI that has come up. So I'm not going to go into all those complexities. This is the step the text takes. Okay, irrespective of whatever the text, whatever the data is, whether it's a picture, whether it's audio, whether it is video, whether it is plain, okay. If it is actually Python bits and bytes, then it cannot be actually sent in this way. So understand this. This is actually raw text I'm talking about. Raw data, raw pictures. So once you convert it into object, then objects are basically something that is referenced inside your computer or inside your processor, inside a register. Please keep this in mind. So objects inside any programming language, not just Python. It could be any programming language, C++, or C doesn't have objects, for your information. C++ or Visual C++, wherever you go, objects are actually stored inside the registers. Okay, and it is stored in a different format, and that cannot be tokenized or vectorized. Okay, keep that in mind. Now that I have given you the overview, let us actually go into next step. So what is the act of embedding? The embedding is basically converting the text into numbers. That is all. Okay, you don't need to think too much about this. You have to convert the text into numbers. Okay, you will be seeing this in action in a couple of minutes. The most important point is, you see that this is the real world data text in real world, and this becomes split like this. Okay, they will actually split. All these are not in alignment, and all this text actually gets converted to numbers like this. So the data comes in like this, gets tokenized, gets vectorized, and then fed to large language model. This is what is happening, guys. All the large language model sees is numbers. It's not going to understand any damn thing that we talk or we say to it or we create from our real world. All it is going to see is numbers. Okay, please keep this in your mind whenever you are working with any of the libraries, whether it is Transformers, Hugging Face, LangChain, OpenAI, any of these libraries you work, continuously remember this picture that, okay, data is coming in, converted into tokens, converted to numbers, and then fed to large language models. If any of these steps you are missing, the large language model will not work. So this is the most important concept that you need to take away from this simple video. Okay, this is a surprise for everybody. Even it was a surprise for me also. Tokenizer is also a model. Okay, unlike the language model is a neural network model. Okay, but tokenizer is a statistical model. So tokenizers can be statistically implemented using simple Python functions. Okay, actually simple Python functions is a understatement. Okay, so it's a pretty complicated algorithms are getting implemented. Okay, we have 3 different algorithms right now that is available in open. You can actually check it out in the Hugging Face website also. I will be showing it in a moment. The 3 algorithms that are used for text splitting are BPE, WordPiece, and Unigram. Both WordPiece and Unigram, both BPE and Unigram, WordPiece start with small vocabulary, while Unigram starts with very large vocabulary. Okay, so understand one thing. All these definitions, vocabulary, tokens, the act of splitting the characters, the act of changing everything, in fact, you don't need to understand. Okay. The reason why I'm actually opening this and showing it to you, I'm actually not even going into the complexity. So let me show you how complex it can get. Okay, I'm going to the Hugging Face website. Let me actually change this to light so that it will be easy for you guys to view it. Just give me a moment. So I'll change it to light, and I hope that it is better for you guys right now. And you see, inside this, I'll be sharing this link with you guys. It's a course that is available in Hugging Face website. I had urged you already to look into this course. I am referring to this very much, but one challenge I faced with this course is actually it's very, very extensive, and I have a very different perspective of technology. Technology should be used by everybody, and it should be made as simple as possible. Okay, and that is why I am doing this. So I cannot ask everybody to do it. So it's better that I do it, right? The point here is that if you see all this, if you come down, these are the various. Just a minute. Yeah, these are the various algorithms that is available, and you see that if you click on this link, you can actually see the byte pair encoding, that is BPE encoding, actually getting implemented here. You can see the training algorithm explained step by step. Okay, let us go back to the presentation. But you don't need to understand that. Okay, so one important thing is programming is completely different from mathematics. Okay, programming is about solving problems. Mathematics is about solving mathematical problems. So what is the difference, you might be wondering? When it comes to a problem, the problem that we are facing in the real world is that we need to convert data into something that large language model can understand and give us a reply. This is a problem that we are going to solve using programming. Okay, we are going to take the data, send it into tokenizer, send it into vectorizer, then we are going to send it into large language model. This is programming. Okay, but in order to split the text into multiple statistically relevant chunks, that is actually mathematics. And converting that text into, again, embeddings, that is actually mathematics. Now, you actually don't need to understand mathematics. Okay. Really, initially I was also thinking that I need to understand mathematics for programming. Actually, no. Mathematics has a different purpose. Okay, and understanding those algorithms and implementing that in programming language is also different. Okay, there are separate people who are doing that. There are researchers doing day in and day out, working their heads off to get us these implementations. Okay, let them do it. I actually honor them. I really love them for the activity they are doing. But when we, as people who are using these technologies, we need to understand how to solve real world problems. Okay, let them solve the mathematical and statistical problems, and then once it comes to us, let us solve the real world problems. That is the intention of simplifying this completely. So I'm just showing you guys what is available. Okay, I am giving the link here also, you can take a look at that. Now comes LangChain. You might be thinking, okay, it's all right, Kamal, how is this linked with LangChain? In LangChain, if you actually take a look at the LangChain, just give me a moment, I'll open the documentation. So I opened the documentation. So here is the documentation that you can, everybody can find it out. So if you go into the documentation into models, right, you will see text embedding. Okay, there will be various types of text embedding models here. Okay, keep that in mind. And then if you scroll down, you will see that indexes. Inside the indexes, you will see text splitters and vector stores. Okay, so actually what happens in reality is the text is getting splitted and then it goes to text embedding and then it comes back to vector stores. This is how the actual process is. However, when LangChain guys did the documentation, they felt that text embedding model should be along with the models. That is correct. As per them, the model should be there. But when we are working on real world, right, we need to understand where we are going to use them. So we have to use the text splitter, we have to use the embedder, and then we have to use the vector source. So we have to change it. So that is why I have actually created this kind of steps. And now you see that, okay, there are so many text splitters, embedders, and vector stores. How to choose them? Very, very simple. As I started, I am going to use Hugging Face, right? So I have a very easy way of filtering all these things. I have to just see which text splitter can work with Hugging Face, which embedding can taken from the Hugging Face, and which vector stores are open source and which can be used right inside your environment, and you can practice. You don't need to have API keys, you don't need to have any kind of, even if you are, if you think that, okay, you need to actually learn about other vector stores, once you understand Chroma, you can even learn about other vector stores in no time. Okay, you can practice it also. But another major point is that it's open source, so you don't need to pay anything. You can try as much as you want. That is the main intention. These are the challenges I faced. So when I started exploring large language models, I was unable to get a hang of all these things in a very coherent fashion. So I had to go through the process of understanding it step by step, and then I felt, okay, let us make the life easy for everybody. And that's how this presentation has come through. Anyway, so now you know what we are going to do. Character text splitter, recursive character text splitter, and Hugging Face length function. So you will be seeing this all in action. Okay, I'm not going to explain this to you guys in presentation. It's boring. I'm not going to do that. I'll be showing you this embedding also in action, and I'll be showing Chroma in action in a moment. Yeah, we are going to practice, guys. As I always say, practice is the most important aspect of programming, or mathematics for that matter, but we are not doing mathematics, we are doing programming here. And programming involves lots of things coming together. So right now you must be knowing what is going on here. So I am going to take where it is. I am going to take text from somewhere. It's going to be in document. It could be in any of the ways. It could be audio converted to text and then converted to embedding. You can think about all these things. Okay, there are many steps you can follow in this route. This is all programming, guys. We are actually going to implement certain programming constructs, algorithms for actually going through this process. I am only going to deal with that. I actually don't want to deal with the actual mathematics of this. I would leave you guys to research about that. Let us now head to the browser. Before that, I hope that you like this content a lot. Leave a like and share it with others, and subscribe to my channel so that further updates related to LangChain, transformers, the Hugging Face models, and various ways of working with large language models. All these things I will be covering in coming videos. So do subscribe and stay tuned for the further videos. Without further delay, let me go to the browser now. In the browser, what I am going to do is, I am going to close, let us keep this LangChain documentation, and this particular Jupyter notebook or Colab notebook that you are seeing here is already uploaded in GitHub repo. I will be sharing the repo also with you guys. All you need to do is install these, start by installing the basic libraries. Okay, you need this instructor embedding. This instructor embedding is, I had to research a bit about this because I was planning to use Hugging Face instruct embedding. So there are two different embeddings inside LangChain for Hugging Face. So I had to download those embeddings separately. and it's already automated. So this research has already been done a long time back, and almost 8-9 months back they had done it, and it is already out there. So we don't need to think too much about this. Here I am explaining the same thing. Whatever I explained in the presentation, I have just put it here for your reference. The most important point is that in this part, the base embedding class in LangChain exposes two methods: embed documents and embed query. You need to remember this. Okay, there are two methods that the class exposes. In Python or any of the object-oriented programming language, what happens is that you create objects out of the real world data, real world situation, information, features. You can create objects out of everything. Okay, once you create objects, you can expose the functions those objects can do. That is called as methods. So keep this kind of overview in your mind when you are going to work on large language models. I am actually speaking to, I am assuming that I am speaking to a non-tech guys. Okay, so if you are a tech guy, do understand from this perspective, because at the end of the day we have to make technology simple, and that is because large language model is actually making the technology way more simpler. Now it is high time that we start making life way more easier, right? Okay, we have got everything up and running. Right now I am going to create a very simple class called Hugging Face Embedding, and I am going to run this particular cell, HF_embed equal to Hugging Face Embedding. I am not giving any kind of parameters here. So I am just creating an object, Hugging Face Embedding object, and you will see that it will actually do the download by itself. It is already fixed, it is already set everything inside, you don't need to change anything. Okay, it will do everything by itself, and it will bring the entire model into this Colab environment. Okay, you don't need to connect anywhere, you don't need any API key, as I was telling. So you see this sentence transformers, it is going and getting this particular model from the Hugging Face hub. Okay, and next is instructor embedding. So in case of instructor embedding, we need to give the query instruction. After that only it will work. So ensure that you give the query instruction. So you see this model, it is actually getting all the related model from the Hugging Face library itself. So it's downloading and keeping it in your local environment. So this is downloading the instructor embedding. So instructor embedding is actually a bigger model. Okay, when you see this model, it is actually bigger, and that is why it takes a little more time, and the max length for the instructor is 512. I had explained to you in the beginning, so let me go back to the presentation for a moment. We are working, the reason why we are actually splitting the text. Okay, why text splitter? So because there is a number of tokens, there is a limit for the number of tokens. Okay, and we are going to work on Hugging Face open source models. Okay, embedding and text splitters. So one of those models has the maximum of 512 tokens only. Okay, so that is what it is telling. As of now, keep this in mind. We will be using it in near term, and the model that is used is HK-UNLP. So instructor large. So this is what is being used. Now we are going to see the embedding in action. Okay, so this is a very simple text. Okay, this is a test document. This is a simple text I am creating. It's a string series, and what I'm going to do is first I'm going to send it through HF_embed. I'm going to show you what is happening. So this is a text, right? I am not going to split it. You see this? I am actually not splitting it. So I am directly sending this into the HF_embed. I am using HF_embed_query text for doing that. And if you take a look at the query result, you'll see that it is numbers. Right, so this is what I was talking about. So let us go back to the presentation. As I was explaining, I am going to give the reality, right? So I took the text, I did not split it, I actually jumped here. So I bypassed this step, I came here, I made a vector, and I showed you the result right now. Let us go to the browser again. I am going to hide this, it's not required. And same way, you can actually work on the documents also, that you can try it out. I will show it in a moment. Okay, it will actually create a list, and you can work with instruct_embed also, and this will also create, but the instruction will be different. Okay, the instruct_embed model is different from what the other model created, so it will also create the numbers only. So this is what I want you guys to look at first. What we are going to do now is that we understood how the embedding works, but we want a bigger text. This is, I mean, very small, right? it's what are you going to do with this? You can actually work directly with the prompt itself. So why do worry about embedding? So till now I have only showed you how embedding works. Okay, I have not showed you how tokenizing works or how text splitting works. So let us go into that. But for that, you have to first of all get the file. So you need to actually take a look at the repo. Inside the repo, right, I would have kept the file called as in the folder, inside the folder playbooks. If you take a look at the folder playbooks, there will be a file name called as linux_play. I will be sharing the link for this file also. Okay, and you can actually use this file and upload it here. So click this and use this file and upload it here. It will come here, and after that you can actually load the file here. So if you load it, it will actually load the text file. Okay, so text loader is not defined. Great, I did not run this cell, so that is why the text loader is not defined. And once I load the text loader, the text will get loaded. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working with a couple of steps right now. Okay, first and foremost, I'm going to use the character text splitter. So let us go back to the presentation. I had told that I'll be working with three different splitters, right? Character text, Hugging Face length function, and recursive character text splitter. All these things we are going to see right now. So let us go back to the browser. Right now, I had showed that there is embedding like this. I am actually hiding these things because it's no longer required. It is difficult to scroll up and down. We actually did the embedding. We saw how to convert this text to vectors. Now what we are going to do, we are actually going to split. If you take a look at this Linux play.txt, this is actually a play book that I use for learning Linux. So to practice Linux commands like grep, sed, awk, and various other things, I use this regularly. Okay, every day I try to practice for some time. I use this playbook. Now I want to actually use, it's a very big file, you saw that, right? I'm going to split it. So what I'm going to do is I imported this file and I loaded that file into space load variable, and I created documents out of it. Okay, so these are all simple steps you need to follow. Don't worry about what is exactly going on, but now you will have to understand what is going on. I'm going to pull the auto tokenizer. So this is a transformer class. I'm going to pull auto tokenizer for GPT-2 model. Okay, this is GPT-2 model. This is open source GPT-2, that is generative text model or large language model that is available open source in Hugging Face. Okay, and there are many updated versions that is coming around on this model also. We are going to use that, and we are going to pull the tokenizer. First and foremost, we are going to pull the tokenizer. We will use this tokenizer in a moment, but let me show you. Let me pull this tokenizer. You see the tokenizer has got pulled. Okay, let me actually zoom in a bit so that, yeah, that is better, I suppose. The tokenizer has got pulled. Okay, now I am using a plain character splitter, and I will be using Hugging Face character splitter, and I will be using recursive character splitter. All these three splitters. So let us go back to the presentation. I told you, right, I will be using three different splitters. So this is plain character text splitter, and I will be using Hugging Face tokenizer to split the characters, and I will be using recursive character splitter. So you will see how these things works. Okay, let us go back to the browser. Let us first execute the plain character splitter. This is actually starting this is actually creating the instance of the character text splitter object. Okay, this is not doing any activity right now. Same way, I am instantiating Hugging Face character splitter. So here you see that I am using from Hugging Face tokenizer. Here there is no that method I am not using. So here I am using the tokenizer that I created above here, this one. So this is why I actually use the tokenizer, right? Keep these steps in mind, okay? Because let me go back to the model. I forgot one important point. Good that I came to this step. There are so many large language models, right? And similar as there are so many large language models, the same way there will be so many tokenizers also. So when the large language models are created or when they are trained, the tokenizer are also attached to that. Okay, so what happens is you cannot use a different tokenizer with a different large language model. So that's why when you are using OpenAI, for an example, if you are using OpenAI's ChatGPT 4 or GPT 3.5, you need to use their appropriate tokenizers and embedders. You cannot use GPT-2 and try to push the vectors into GPT 3.5 or GPT 4. It is not going to work. Keep this in mind. Okay, I have not mentioned it here. Again, I am repeating, the tokenizers and the large language models are linked together. Okay, because the vectors that gets created by these tokenizers, the embedders, and the read by the large language models has to be already fixed inside the training loop. I'm not actually going into those complexities as I was already explaining, but I have to tell you these things as a rules rather than explaining to you how it works. Okay, it is better to remember the rules, right? Let us go back into the Colab notebook, and we have initiated the HF character splitter, and I am doing a recursive character splitter. Recursive character splitter is what suggested by LangChain to use more frequently. Okay, this has very repetitive output. Okay, so chunk size is 100, we are going to have an overlap of 20, and the length function is the basic character length function. Python length function is what is being used here. Okay, and here also we are using the Python length function, but the separator can be changed. So what happens is there are various other text splitters as we saw, right? So these text splitters actually work on overridden on the character text splitter or recursive character text splitter. If you read the LangChain documentation, right, you will understand more about this. If you go to here and if I click on text embedding models, since it is actually separated, it becomes difficult for us to link these two things. It took some time for me also until I started bringing it all together. So if you see at the sorry, I had to go back. If I scroll down a bit, you will see there are many text splitters here. I had shown you. So if you take a look at, for an example, Python code text splitter, if you go and read their documentation, you will see that it is implemented simple subclass of recursive character splitter, and they use the Python what is it called, the Python specific characters to split the Python code. Okay, so I hope that you guys have some vague understanding of what the character text splitters are. As I always say, the only solution for this is, guys, to practice. Okay, that is why I'm sharing you the entire code with you guys. So do practice it, and in that way you will actually understand much better. Okay, let us go back to the browser again, and now what we are going to do is, now the action starts. We are going to split the document. First and foremost, where is the documents? These documents actually comes from where it is, this place. Keep this particular thing in mind. This documents, we are going to take this documents and we are going to split it. Okay, so I showed you how the document looks. I showed you the playbook also, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the plain character splitter. I'm going to split it. Okay, and once I'm going to execute it, you'll see that the character splitter is telling me that I am unable to split the character with 500 length. So I gave chunk size as 500, but it is splitting at 1137, 1181 in such a way. Okay, this is something which is actually difficult to control when you use plain character splitter. Okay, this version, where is it? This version. Now, if you take a look at the docs, so it's actually a list. So this docs becomes a list actually, and if you execute the list, you will see that the first split. So if you want to take a look at multiple documentation, you can take a look at that also. So if I want to list 0 to 2, you will see that there will be 3 documents. That is, so document 1, document 2, and where is the document 3? Just a minute, guys. So there will be document 3 also. So it gets split that way. Okay. I'm sorry, actually 0 to 2, only 2 documents will come in case of list. So you will see 2 documents have come here, and the reason why this is happening like this is because the way we are splitting. I'm using double N as the separator. Okay, in my case, when I am writing this file, if there is no double N, then it cannot split correctly. Okay, that is why the issues are arising. Now I am going to use HF character splitter. Okay, that is where I am using the Hugging Face tokenizer. So I'm using the same documents, same process. I'm splitting the document, and here you see it is better. Okay, still I am asking a chunk size of 100, but it is giving me 314. Okay, and if you take a look at the character documentation, you will see that the document splitting has little better. Okay, let us take three characters. So you will see that the splitting has happened here. You see this is the first document, and you will see that this is the second document. Okay, and this is the third document. It has been splitted. Okay, and this is something that I was talking about. When it comes to recursive character splitter, you cannot use this document.load. You cannot use the text loader. Recursive splitter directly works on the Python object itself. Okay, the large language models cannot work on Python objects, but these are actually the tokenizer models. Okay, keep that in mind. So I'm going to execute this. So it will open the file, read it as Python object, and then it is going to split it. So keep this in mind. I'm going to send it as a list. So if I take a look at this, it will be very small splitting. Okay, you see this Begin Linux book. So if you take a look at this, compared to these sizes, so this is actually very large, right? It is uploaded on Docker Hub. So this is a very large sentence, but in this case, every part of the sentence it's actually splitting. Why? So that's a good question you should ask. If you go here, I have actually given a chunk size of 100, and I have given an overlap of 20 and length function. So once I give this chunk size, play with the chunk size actually. Play with 30, play with 1000, see what happens actually. And you will see a huge amount of difference. This is actually practicing, guys. Once you understand these numbers, how you change it and how you work with that, then we can actually go into the next step, where we are going to right now embed it. So we have split it, right? So let us go back to the presentation. This you have to understand this. That's why I'm here repeating it. So now I have done the splitting. Now I'm going to do the embedding, and then next I will go into vector source. I have not touched vector store till now. Let us go to the browser. Now we have done the splitting. So we saw how the things got split, right? Creating the embedding is direct, very simple. So I'm just showing you an example here. So this particular Begin Linux book embedding, I'm going to just show it to you how the query. I already showed it to you at the top. I'm just again showing it to you how the so we have already split. Okay, it's very long. So we have already split the document where it. Sorry, yeah, we have already split the documents right now. I am going to send it through the embedders right now. So the splitting is complete, embedding is going to start now. I am going to use a character embedder, and I'm just showing it, you guys can play with it. When you are going to do the embedding, we have to take the embedding and store it somewhere. So what we are going to do is we are going to use Chroma. Chroma uses DuckDB. DuckDB is it's a portable database which gets created automatically inside the environment where you are working. Okay, and in Chroma you can use the directory to be maintained as persistent. Okay, if you give the directory name, so this directory name can be a path also. I am just giving it as a directory name, so it will get created in the local path. And once I say, okay, create a Chroma database from the documents, and also I need to give the documents, the plain docs comes from here. The plain docs that is created by using the plain character splitter, I'm going to use that, and I'm going to use the HF embed, the embedder I showed at the top, and then I'm going to use this plain directory. Okay, so let me show you. So here there is no any directory right now. Right, there is no any directory called plain DB. So once I'm going to execute this, you see that it starts executing. It says that using embedded DuckDB, and it actually pulls the embedder also. Every time you call the HF embed, it will pull the embedding model, and then it will use it on the models, and then it will create the directory. So in a moment it will create the directory. Okay, in this place it will be called plain DB. So you see this. So this is what I was talking about. So you will see the index, and also you will see the necessary data along with the index, pickle file and the bin file. Okay, So this is how you use the ChromaDB. And if you're going to use any other vector store, you can use that also. We will be looking at it in a separate video. Next is the character splitter. I'll be using this. Actually uses the Hugging Face model, right? If you go to the top, we actually use the Hugging Face tokenizer. So we'll be using that. Already the HF embed has been downloaded, so you don't see that again. And now if you go here, you will see that there is character splitter DB. So this is the new one. And that will also have its own set of index, and it will have its own set of data. Okay. And finally, we are going to use the recurse DB. So this is the recursive documents that we'll be using, recursive documents, and we'll be using recurse directory. And if you execute this, another new directory will get created with its own embeddings. Okay. Now this is how the entire embedding process works. Okay. So you see the recurse DB has got created here. We have actually seen, so this is the end of the notebook. Let us go back to the presentation. We have seen, as I promised from the beginning, that we have understood the entire tokenizing embedding cycle and how it works in reality using the code that you can test it out by yourself using your own documents and play with the documents. Okay, initially, we want to actually create huge projects. We want to work on, excellent products. Right, but start with as simple steps as we can. Okay, this is the most simplest step that we can work with. Okay, work with the splitter, work with the embedding, and then put it in the ChromaDB store and see how it works, and then start working on these things. Okay, then try to work with other splitters. These are the basic splitter that I showed you. There are LaTeX splitter, Markdown splitter, NLTK splitter, SpaCy splitter, and also OpenAI's TikToken splitter. And embeddings, you must be already knowing. OpenAI has their own embedding, and Cohere has their own embedding. So you can work with these also. And then there are so many other vector DB providers. Okay. So the point, again, I am reiterating that you need to understand what problem you are solving. Okay. Each problem has its own solution, and you might be wondering, okay, why actually use these databases? The reason is very simple. Every time you are going to create an embedding, you saw that it actually, let us go to the presentation, let us go to the browser. You saw every time I was creating the embedding, it creates lots of vectors. So for an example, let me create it here again. So once I create this, the vectors are getting assigned to this particular variable, and if I execute it, you will see a huge list of vectors, right? So it's a huge list, and every time you have to do it, it takes effort. The computer has to work, right? You have to do the programming. Instead of doing that every time, the document is taken and the vector is stored inside the database, so that you don't need to do this activity again. So we have only done the starting part of the very huge setup. Okay, what exactly happens is, let me actually tell you that also. After you do this vector embedding, you can actually use the chains, and you can start using those chains for analyzing the document. So you can use these chains to do question answering on the document. You can do graph QA, that is question answering, analyzing the document. You can do a lot of things actually. For that, we need to first of all do this step. Okay, so I'll be covering that separately, but I wanted to show you the purpose. I want to show you the purpose, why we are doing that. Okay, so let us go back to the presentation, and I hope that you guys actually like this. Do practice this series and understand the splitter, the embedder, and the vector ChromaDB more detail, and then you can dive into more complex and interesting projects. I will be also taking a little more complex topic that will be coming next, where I will be trying to work with the vector DB that I created, the data store that I created right now, and start connecting it with the large language models and start querying it. So you will see that in the next video. Till the next video, stay tuned guys, and do subscribe to my channel, and so that you will get updates once I upload the new videos. With this, I would like to take a leave, and as usual, practice, 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 practice.